Howdy folks, this here is the Shimano Vanford family of reels. My subscribers already know that, but if you are new to my channel, this here is one and the same reel with some unimportant but sometimes aggravating differences. This is the Shimano Vanford, which is the base reel. Then we have the Soare XR and the Complex XR, but this is one and the same reel. It has the same frame, the same rotor, the same gears. Everything that's important is the same. And today we get another member of this family. And may I say, a really beautiful member of the family. Absolutely gorgeous. The other members of the Vanford family are pretty easy on the eyes too. I love all three of them. But this one I think looks the most expensive and sophisticated. Let me know what you think. Now, I'm gonna play around with this reel. I have to actually disassemble it because it doesn't feel just right yet. It will when I'm done with it. At the end of the video, I will tell you how the new member, the Cardiff XR, this is the Cardiff XR size 2000. All of these are size 2000, by the way. I will tell you how the Cardiff XR fits in this family and what exactly are the tiny differences with the other members of the family. But right now, let's take a good look at the reel, and like I told you, I actually have to disassemble it. My Cardiff actually feels kind of tight, and you can say a lot of things about the Vanfords, but they do not feel tight. That's why I prefer them over the Luvias family, which is the counterpart on the Daiwa side. Because the Vanfords are always very loose and very low resistance. This one feels a little bit tight. I think it's coming from this knob. This knob here, on top of being completely inappropriate. I don't know who came up. I guess that's the legacy of Cardiff. It always comes with this cork knob, but can we at least make it flat? My knob, there is something wrong with it. It just won't turn. So it will not turn. But we're gonna open it now. We're gonna replace the knob in all cases. I cannot stand this knob. Folks, I am very happy to report to you that we have a beautiful felt disc in the new Cardiff XR, the one that you see in the middle. It's actually exactly the same as the felt disc in my Vanford, which is the one that you see in the bottom left corner, kind of yellow looking. It's yellow looking because it has the eyefish grease on it. But apart from that, the size, and I'm trying to look as close as I can, the texture of the two discs seems the same to me, so I assume they're both felt. I was secretly hoping that the new Cardiff might come with the Vanquish synthetic, the new synthetic material for the drag disc. But that's fine. This felt produces amazing drag as is. The most important thing, folks, is that we avoided this nasty thing that you see on the screen here. It's not only carbon, but even as far as carbons go, look how rough the surface of this thing is. It's really good that we have the felt here. Of course, I scratched the knob trying to remove it. And I thought I had it pretty good, like this. These needle nose pliers fit perfectly here. It was good, but then it slipped and now it's scratched. But luckily I do not care about this knob, but some of you might care because this knob has a seal. And the whole thing here seems to be sealed. Maybe that's the problem. By the way, before I forget, does anybody know about a tool that opens this knob without scratching? Maybe Shimano has a special tool somewhere. If you do, please email me or leave it in the comments and I will pin your comment. I don't care about this particular knob, but there might be another reel where I do care, so I would hate for me to scratch it next time. But this here, something is just wrong. I mean, it feels it feels like a clickety almost. Something here is very wrong. It's surprising that this passed Shimano quality control, because there is just something wrong with this knob. Look at this bearing. I think somebody glued this thing to the knob. I have never seen a bearing glued, but this is glue. And let me tell you, I had to pretty much hammer this out. Yeah, this came out of this side. I had to hammer it out with a screwdriver. I have never seen a case where I cannot remove the bearing from a knob. But I think some of this glue fell in the race, or actually it's kind of a sealed bearing. But the glue there was particles of glue left, and as the knob was spinning, the glue was scratching and creating this nasty feeling. But even without the glue, there is something wrong with this bearing. Maybe there is glue inside the race, because it doesn't feel smooth and it has nasty resistance. It is heavily greased though. The other bearing is also heavily greased. It feels smooth, this one, but also nasty resistance. We will replace both of these bearings with ceramic bearings. All right, I was very happy about the felt drag disc, but now I have bad news to report. This knob here is not compatible with all the other knobs in the world. Any other real Daiwa and Shimano, you can get a generic knob available anywhere. I like these knobs. They're made of carbon. They're very hard and very light. But it doesn't matter. As far as knobs go, they're interchangeable. But this one, look, it's kind of shallow. It sits up to here. It doesn't go all the way in. You need some very deep knob like this. Let me show you how far this can go. That's it. Now that's not really a big deal, but it bothers me. I don't know, am I gonna fish it like this, open? It should be flush, it should be all the way down. I think for now, I'm just gonna put this one back, but we're gonna put new bearings on it. And we're gonna put the stock knob back until we figure what to do. But I want you to know, if you buy this reel and you don't like this knob, changing the knob is not easy, as this pivot here will not accept regular knobs, and all of a sudden that becomes a problem. All right, finally you can hear the ceramic bearings. It still doesn't spin as freely as any other knob on ceramic bearings, but at least it's completely free now. Okay, so we do have a bearing under the spool here. And we did have, I forgot to show you, but I saw it. We have a bearing on top of the spool. So the spool has bearings on top and on the bottom, just like the Soare XR and the Complex XR, by the way. All right, so we do have a metal bushing here where the rotor is spinning around the main shaft. And every reel in the Vanford family has a bushing here. You know, if you replace this with a bearing, let me show you. You can make it actually worse, because you have to remove a silicone. There is a silicone. Do you see? It's not metal to metal. There is a silicone liner between the metal bushing and the nut here. And this silicone liner acts as a shock absorber. So my advice to you is, if your reel feels nice, keep your bushing, because the bushing is elastic. It's counterintuitive, but because you have a silicone liner between the nut, and you cannot put this liner on top of the bearing. If your reel feels nice out of the box, don't touch it, don't touch nothing. That's my advice. Use it for 2 years, and when it starts to feel dry, then mess around with bearings. In my case, it is feeling a little tight, so I'm hoping to make the whole reel feel a little better, replacing the bearings on the knob, and I'm gonna replace this one too. It's actually 4 by 8 by 3, and then I just don't put this washer back. But again, don't throw it. But I just use larger bearing, so I don't put the washer. I put the seal on top like this, and it will go back like this. This is done. Let's keep going. I'm telling you, the people who assembled this reel and design it are serious about waterproofing. Everything is packed with grease. Well folks, I think I found the problem why the whole reel feels freaking tight. And it's not over greasing. This is the main gear. No, we don't have the teeth, the new teeth from the new Vanquish. It's exactly the same gear as every other reel in the Vanford family, which I like. These gears are good. You can see how the grease falls off the teeth. This is a brand new reel. It's not even fished yet. You spin the handle 5 times and it falls off the teeth. I will put different grease here. Nothing wrong with this grease, but it doesn't want to stay on the teeth. But okay, nothing interesting about the main gear. It's the same like all the other Vanfords. Whoever assembled my specific reel, he tightened the screws, my gosh, with like 100 foot-pounds of torque. Never ever have I had to use so much force to remove one of these screws. And this is my 6th Vanford reel. I have a lot of these reels, and I have opened them 5 times until I get the noise and the resistance to where I like it. But anyway, I think it was the extreme force with the 2 sides, the side plate and the frame were just too tight, I believe. Everything was extremely tight. The knob on the handle was extremely tight. Everything here was severely over tightened. Whoever assembled this reel, dude, you gotta chill, man. This is a thin plastic. Take it easy with the torques there. There are 2 plastic bushings in every Vanford on each side of the oscillation worm here. See, this here is the easier one to replace. You can replace this guy without opening the reel. The other bushing is kind of hidden all the way in the frame. You have to remove this guy here. What is with this reel? Everything is stuck. Everything is stuck. Here's a close-up of the bushing. It's actually not a low friction bushing. This doesn't spin very easy. Maybe the diameter of the gear is a little bit smaller, so it spins easier. But let me show you the difference when you put a real bearing. Now this here is a bearing. You can see the races. Can you hear this? This son of a gun is so small, but it can spin. Alright, now good luck putting this back inside. Removing it was easy. Alright, the bearings are in. It's closed. The last thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put some completely synthetic grease on the teeth. Now you have to fight your urge here to put a lot, because all you're gonna do is it's gonna splash on the sides like originally, and then when it splashes on the sides it will collect dust. Alright, the reel is back together, looks just as gorgeous as before, and all of the tightness, my friends, is completely gone. Okay, let's get back to the Vanford family, and let me tell you where this reel sits in the family. Okay, let's repeat again for those that are new to the channel. What upgrades does the Rotor XR have over the Vanford? The first upgrade is the handle. If you look at the handle of the Vanford, that's the handle of the old Stradic CA4 Plus. You can tell it's old looking. I mean, it's just an older design. The Soare XR received the handle of the Vanquish. It's just a much more elegant, thin looking handle. The second upgrade, quote unquote upgrade, I don't think the second upgrade does much of anything, is the bearings in the spool. The Vanford has no bearings in the spool. The Soare XR has two bearings in the spool, one under the spool, one on top of the spool. This is as far as upgrades, but there are unfortunately some downgrades. The Vanford has beautiful felt drag system. This guy has the nasty carbon disc that I just showed you. Now, between the Soare XR and the Complex XR, there is virtually no difference other than the colors. The only difference between these two reels, other than color, is that they put some kind of a silly knob here that allows you to tighten the drag very quickly. For example, if it takes 10 clicks to tighten the Soare XR to where you want it and you start from the same position, here you can tighten the drag with only 5 clicks. You tighten much faster and you loosen much faster. I don't even know if that's an advantage, but this is the only silly difference, mechanical difference between these two reels. Okay, so where does the new Cardiff XR sit in the Vanford family? First of all, and perhaps most importantly, for most people it's difficult to make this call, but this is the one area where I have serious expertise, the aesthetics. I can tell you that this is the most beautiful, sophisticated, and expensive looking reel in the family. Look at the porting on the spool. I mean, it just looks as the most expensive reel in the bunch. Then, moving to less important stuff like bearings, this reel has bearings everywhere you can think of. It does have the two bearings on top and under the spool, just like those two reels, and it does have two more bearings than the Vanford. But unlike the Complex XR and the Soare XR, which got the extra bearings at the cost of the nasty carbon, here we have the bearings, but we also have the felt. Everything so far is win, win, win. However, as it is always the case, there is always something. In this case, this reel also has a flaw that's nearly fatal. It's a very serious flaw, and that is this knob over here that I underestimated originally how big of an issue this knob is. Well, the handle is also a downgrade from these two reels, but this handle is purely aesthetic. And to tell you the truth, I don't know, somehow it doesn't look as bad here as on the Vanford. I mean, the handle does not look bad. I don't know, I take that back. It's not a downgrade, but it is the Vanford handle versus the Vanquish handle on the other two reels. But this knob, if you don't like this knob, you are in trouble, because the pivot inside the knob that accepts the knobs, this pivot will not accept a regular knob. Any other regular knob will stick 4 or 5 millimeters out, and you're gonna have just ugly bare pivot here. This round knob I find absolutely unbearably nasty. The nastiest knob that my fingers have ever touched. As soon as this video is over, I will go and shave it off with a knife, or I don't know, with something to try to make it flat. My fingers need a flat knob. If it wasn't for this nasty knob that is not even replaceable, I would wholeheartedly recommend this one in this entire family because it has the bearings, it has the felt inside, it's the most beautiful. Look at this ported spool, it sounds the best, it looks the best, and it's only like, I don't know, $5 or $7 more expensive than these two reels. For this kind of like almost negligible cost difference, I would absolutely recommend this one in the family, but you have to like round knobs because this knob will not be easy to replace. I don't think you're gonna find a replacement for this knob in China. I don't think so. Now, I'm pretty certain you're gonna find a replacement in Japan. But between the shipping from Hedgehog Studio and the cost of the knob itself, you're looking at minimum $30 extra. So before you buy this reel, you have to have a plan about the knob. What are you gonna do with the knob? Do you have an affordable replacement? Do you maybe not even need a replacement? Maybe you're one of these lucky people who don't mind a round knob on the first place. If either of these two scenarios is true for you, you have a replacement or you don't mind the round knob, I have to recommend this beautiful Cardiff. It's not only the nicest option in the Vanford family, but I believe it's one of the nicest options in all of ultralight fishing. Because let's be honest, as of 2023, and it's the end of 2023 right now, if you want an ultralight spinning reel, you have two options, Daiwa and Shimano. There are no other brands. And as I already mentioned, I prefer the Vanford family, even if just by a little bit. And in the Vanford family, notwithstanding the knob, the Cardiff is the nicest.